YouTube, what is that word? It is your boy Marko Stats, and it's another episode of Marko. How'd you do that? And today, I think it will be dope to explain to you guys how I was chosen to have a documentary created on my life. Um, Let me take you guys back to I graduated high school, right? I graduated high school and I went away to college for 1 year. I went to NIU. I went to NIU for 1 year. Now, if you guys don't know my background, I grew up without my mother. My father raised me. He was an older parent. He passed away about 3 years ago now. Um, and when I was going off to college, I was basically broke. I didn't have no money. And my father was a single parent. He didn't have that much money. And the whole time that I was at NIU, Northern Illinois University in DeKalb, Illinois, for those of you guys who don't know, the whole time that I was there, I was fucking broke. And I couldn't even afford. I remember the phone. I had a phone out there that basically didn't even work. Like I used to be texting people and the texts wouldn't go through. Sometimes my calls would drop. You know, my dad would send me money every now and then, like send me a couple $100s or whatever, but it wasn't really enough, you know, and I had to really figure out a lot of situations by myself. And shout out to my friend group at the time because my friend group looked out for me so much. They used to literally pitch in money so I can get certain things done. So, for example, if we were going to a party or something like that, you know, and they was charging to get in, like my friends would literally gather around and be like, damn, we got to figure out how much money that we could put up to get Marko in the party. How much money are we gonna put up? Like, cause they already knew that I didn't have it, you know. So they would literally be like, "Yo, you know, are you gonna put up $5? You gonna put up $5? You gonna? If we going out to get food, same thing, you know, like who's gonna pay for Marco's stuff?" And it's like that's how much they fucked with me that they would literally put their money together so that I can get certain things done if I needed stuff because I was literally that broke. And I got in trouble when I was in college and I got busted for fucking underage drinking when I was 18. I was drinking inside my homie's dorm with some girls and the fucking, I forgot what's that called, the people that's in charge of the floor. Like, it's like the upperclassmen that they choose to be in charge of the floor for all the freshmen. Like, they called the police on us. The police came and fucking arrested us and gave us a fine and all this shit. And then I found out that they attached my fine to the tuition that was already expensive as shit. So they attached it to the tuition. And then it was another thing that happened like in the second semester where I got fined again. So I kept on getting fined and my tuition kept going up and I couldn't even really afford to go to the school in the first place. The only reason why I went to college is because my father wanted me to go so bad. He was a single parent and he was really strict on education and stuff like that. Like my father has his master's degree. You know, my father, he really took school seriously, you know what I'm saying? So I went there for a year and then after that I was just like, man, after getting in trouble and them raising my tuition and all that, I'm like, man, I gotta get the fuck away from this school. So I left, came back to the city for my second year of college, and I went to community college. I went to Harold Washington College that was downtown. I was still broke, so I needed a job. So I got a job at Little Caesars, and I worked at Little Caesars for about 2 years. It wasn't the best experience. It was cool starting off because it was really like my first job. Well, really my second job. My first job was was I was working at the dining hall when I went to NIU. That was like my first official job. So Little Caesars was my second job, and I remember I was working at Little Caesars for 2 years, and then it was a lot of shit that they was doing there that just wasn't making any sense. And I remember after 2 years, I'm like, why am I still here? And I'm always prone to doing that. I'm always prone to staying in situations and staying at stuff for too long. Like I'm known for doing that. And that's something that I realized that I do and I need to work on because there was no reason why I was working at Little Caesar for that long. Like I literally would have fans come into Little Caesars and be like, oh shit, you're Marko Stats. Back when I was like 19. And I'd be so embarrassed because I dropped my first album when I was 19, and I kind of already had a local following when I was 19. So people used to literally come into Little Caesars and be like, oh shit, that's Marko Stats. I remember even some people took some pictures with me and they was just like, yo, can I take a picture with you? And I had to tell them like, yo, don't post it because I didn't want people to see me in my Little Caesars outfit on Facebook like, oh, this nigga works at Little Caesars, because I was just trying to make an honest living, And then one day I fucking quit, and I quit my job, and I had no idea what I was gonna do. The girl that I was talking to at the time, I remember she was telling me like, it's okay, you're gonna find a new job. It's not like you're not looking for one. You're gonna find one, woo woo. But I was just convinced, like, man, bro, I'm a fucking bum. Like I don't have no fucking income. I'm still going to school though. And then shout out to my broski, Akeem. At the time, he put me on to this program that's called One Summer Chicago, which like One Summer Chicago is this program where they work with young people and give them summer jobs, like yada, yada, yada. So to skip forward, through this program, they put me on with another program that's called UCAN. UCAN is kind of similar. They work with kids in Chicago, help them get jobs, specifically kids who have been traumatized and come from crazy backgrounds. Now, my background is pretty crazy. Like I said, my mother passed away. That traumatized me. I'm still traumatized from that shit. So they helped me out, and I had to complete a series of it was just maybe a 4 or 5 week program where there was an educational portion and there was like a mental health portion. It was all different stuff. And then at the end of the program, they would help you find a job. So I completed the program, and then after I completed it, I'll never forget, they had this book, and inside of the book had different jobs that I could potentially work at. And then I seen this one place that's called Street Level Youth Media. And I was like, it was Street Level Youth Media, and it was the Park District. I saw the Park District first, and I was like, it'd be cool to work at the Park District. They got a gym there. They got sports going on. It'd be cool to be like a youth mentor there. So I put the Park District as my first choice. And then I was about to turn it into them and tell them. And then something just told me to look through the book again. And when I looked through it again, I saw Street Level Youth Media. And when I looked at Street Level Youth Media, I looked at the description, and it was a media center for the youth, for disenfranchised youth. And they got a recording studio in there. They got a computer lab. They have a what's that shit called? A sound stage or some shit like that. It's like a stage where you can record green screen and you can do music videos and all this dope stuff. And I was like, oh shit, I want to work here, So I chose it. They got me an interview like literally the next week. Came, did the interview, knocked it out. I was hired. Boom. So now I'm hired. I'm an intern at Street Level Youth Media. They got me working inside the studio, like I'm literally on Pro Tools, which is crazy because I forgot how to use Pro Tools because I haven't used it in so long because I use FL Studio now. But they briefly showed me how to use Pro Tools. I was in there doing sessions for the youth. I was working with kids with special needs that wanted to come and use the studio. I was doing all different type of projects, right? And I was working there for a couple years, and then all of a sudden, well, really, the whole time that I was working there too, I was still dropping music. No matter what was going on in my life, I was always dropping music. Like, you know what I'm saying? It don't matter if I was broke, if I was, you know, I will always figure out a way how to drop music. So I'm dropping music, I'm gaining momentum around the city, I'm doing shows, yada, yada, yada. And then one day, my boss comes to me and they're like, yo, we have this grant to do a documentary on an artist. And we don't have as much money to do it on Chance the Rapper was big at the time. So it was like, yo, you know, at first we were thinking about doing it on like a Chance the Rapper or doing it on a Vic Mensa or one of these guys that's way more established and has more fans than me. but then they were like, due to the budget, we can't really afford to do a documentary with them. So we respect what you're doing as an artist, and we want to shoot a documentary on your life, Marko, and we think it'll be dope. And I was like, what? Are you guys sure that you want to shoot a documentary on my life? But then once I really started to break down my story of my mother passing away, me having a stuttering disorder, me, my father being an immigrant from Nigeria, my mom being from Brazil. And as I started to really think about everything I've been through in my life, I'm like, damn, my life is a movie. And it's still going too. There's more chapters of crazy shit being added on, and twists and turns and all type of shit. And I was just like, damn, yeah, okay, so let's do the documentary. So I remember we did it during COVID, I believe. We shot it it was like right when COVID was beginning, I think, or right before. We started to shoot the documentary, and I remember we shot a lot of it at my crib, uptown. They interviewed my friends and family. What else? We did some footage at Circles and Ciphers, where I'm at now, my job. Interviewed some people there like Akeem, etc., etc. And then, we got the documentary done. And, there was the documentary came out, and there was some song, like there was kind of like a soundtrack that kind of went with it, like an unofficial soundtrack. So they had my music in the documentary, and they had this whole documentary. It's still up on YouTube. I'm gonna post the link to it under this video so you guys can go and watch it. It's a short documentary on my life, probably 10 minutes long, nothing too crazy, so you guys can get a brief summary of where I'm coming from. And like the documentary came out, and shout out to Matt Woods, who's the director. Love you forever, Matt. I seen the sacrifices that you had to go through to make this happen. And my documentary premiered at two theaters in Chicago. And I remember the first one, I forgot the name of the first one, but it was across the street from the Chicago theater. And I remember they had a red carpet and everything. And I had brought my daughter at the time, who was, she probably was around like 1 year old, or maybe a few months old to like a one year old. She was still fairly new born. And I brought her mother. We was on the red carpet. It was all type, red carpet. They were taking pictures, all type of shit. It was like, I felt like a movie star for real. And then the second place that it premiered at was the MCA. The MCA is a very, very popular art museum that's in Chicago. It's downtown, right next to the water tower. Virgil, I know that you guys have heard of Virgil, which is a famous designer and artist that used to work with Kanye West. He had some exhibits that was at the MCA. So it's like my movie documentary premiered at the same place that Virgil and some of these other famous artists have premiered some of their stuff and have done exhibits. I ran into Lupe Fiasco one time at the MCA because I went there again with Street Level to look at Virgil's exhibit, and Lupe Fiasco was there too. And I ran into Lupe Fiasco, and we took a picture. I forgot what we talked about, but that was my second time meeting Lupe Fiasco, so that was dope. So not only did I get the documentary done, but I got it premiered at one of the most notorious art museums in all of Chicago, which is crazy. I still have the documentary that's on YouTube. We've been trying to figure out how to get it on like Netflix or get it in some more film festivals because it's really a powerful story. You know, it's a powerful ass story, and I think that it needs to be heard. And I want to add on to it. You know, like I want to make more parts because it is only 10 minutes long. I like the fact that it's short because I can continue to add different chapters of my life and just expand it. You know, because I'm really big on just recording my life and really having inspirational footage for people to draw inspiration from to help with their own journeys. So yeah, you know, that's how I got a documentary shot on my life. I went from a broke ass kid working at Little Caesars to stumbled across this opportunity to intern for a media center, Street Level Youth Media, and they came to me with the documentary idea. So it's crazy how life in life certain things can just fall in your lap. You can just stumble across certain things at certain times. Things just manifest, and I feel like it was a blessing, and I feel like I was ready to tell my story, and everything aligned perfectly. Me, if I would have stayed at NIU, I would have never had this documentary shot. If I would have still, if I still would have worked at Little Caesars, I would have never had this documentary shot. So literally every single thing that I did, my faults, the things that I lost, like jobs that I lost, opportunities that I lost from leaving college to leaving Little Caesars, all of that led into me getting that opportunity of a lifetime because this is a piece of content that I can show people forever. I can show this to my daughter when she gets to a certain age. She can show it to her children, and this piece of content is gonna last forever, and it can be something that's passed down through my family that inspires others, etc., etc. So, like I said, God is amazing, and it's always dope to see him work wonders, even in times when I didn't know what was gonna be my next step. Also, shout out to Akeem for giving me the alley-oop and telling me to sign up for One Summer Chicago because I was down bad and I was just trying to just figure it out. And me and Akeem's a wonderful artist as well with a dope catalog, and we got some dope music on the way. We got some dope music that's already out. Make sure that you guys get Truly Understands. Make sure that you guys get Gather Your Things Part 1 and 2. I think that part two is my favorite, and then truly understands, classic record on my last project, the Uptown Blues, which is also the name of the documentary, the Uptown Blues, because that's where I'm from and that's what shaped me, baby. But yeah, man, that's another episode of Marco. How'd you do that? I really don't know how I did it. It just kind of just fell in my lap. And like I said, I'm looking to add more to this documentary. And if you're somebody out there that has connects to a film festival, to Netflix, Hulu, it don't matter what it is, Tubi, let me know because I'm still trying to get this documentary on more platforms. All right. So I appreciate y'all so much. Again, my name is Marko Stats, aka Swayze. Till next time, make sure that you guys like this video, comment on this video. Did this video inspire you? Was it a good watch? I know that we over 21 minutes. If you still watching this, I love you, man. And make sure that y'all take care, man. Till next time, y'all know what it is, man. Love, peace.